Hello and welcome, fellow tankers. The Call to the Final Frontier event is running in World of Tanks from the 2nd May until the 13th of May. Another weird collaboration I don't really understand, but who cares? It's pretty interesting because you can get a lot of loot in this event, and we're gonna take a look at this. Why is it worth it to play or why not? And you can see you can have the chance to get free crew commanders, but not only commanders, they are pretty useful actually because they can be used as any crew member and not only as commanders. So I'm going to show you that shortly. So here we are in my crew barracks, and you can see I already played myself through the event until I got James Tiberius Kirk, and this guy has a special voiceover. But that's not so important. If you recruit this guy, you can actually choose whatever you like, and you can here choose the qualification. He doesn't have to be a commander. He can be everything, but the voiceover only works if he's the commander. But who cares in the end? You have to decide for yourself if you need this. But I think it's pretty important to know that this guy can be any crew member with a 0 perk, which is pretty useful and not that common. I would definitely recommend you to play the event only to get the crew members at least. And there's also other more or less useful loot you can get. Let's take a look at this. Here's another little explanation of the rover. We can go back to that later. And here we are with the rest of the loot you can get. A day of premium, some components, some bonds, which are maybe the most important stuff you can get out of this. And if you're not free to play and still grinding the whole tech tree or something like this may be not so useful, and it's thrown at you at any point in the game, so they are not that rare here, the reserves and boosters. This stuff is, I don't know why they always put stuff like this into it, and I almost never see anyone having this on their tanks, the decals, the inscriptions. Completely useless in my opinion, but okay. It would be great if you could sell them, at least for some credits, but no, they are there to be in your garage forever, to stare at you. You can also have a nice 2D style, if you like it, why not? And here we are at the end. If you grind through all the free crew members, you will get a free Orion loot lockbox. It's not called loot box, it's called lockbox. Well, good game, wargaming. Yeah, and some more days of premium, some credit boosters, also nice to have. And I would say definitely worth your time, because it's not that hard to get this stuff actually. And we will take a look at that as well. So how to find the event? Just click at this sign here in your garage, or at the little spaceship here, or go to the random battle and click on Call to the Final Frontier. Pretty easy. And then you will have this overview site here. And how to get those commanders? You have to play the game mode. I already made a video about this. And you have those daily missions, and they will help you very much. They don't have too hardcore things you have to do, like fight 2 battles. It's not hard to do. You get 9,000 points for this. And if you click here to mission progress, you can see where you are standing. So I already finished Kirk, and you can see here they all take more and more of those points. But if you consider you can get every day like 27,000 of those, you will always immediately finish almost one stage. And you will collect in-game the points as well, so they come additionally on top to that. So you will grind yourself actually pretty fast forward here. If you use the daily mission, so you have to play every day, if you can handle that. That should be pretty easy. You also can check here the mission brief, how to play the game mode, or you can just watch my other video if you would like to do that. Here are the power-ups explained again, 4 of them. It's actually a pretty fun mode, I have to say. They have far worse events in the past. And of course you can buy also Orion loot boxes, but we come back to that stuff a little bit later. The mission progress here in the middle, it's pretty unnecessary. If you finish all of the 9 stages of the event, then you will have here a little narrative reward, so you can read the text. Awesome. So I don't think this is exciting at all for anyone. Something which is also interesting to know, I would say, are the missions you can have additionally. So if you click here on incoming transmission, it's a little bit poorly done, in my opinion, to have this on a special website. So I'm going to shorten this. You will get to this website here, incoming transmission, and you can choose one of the crew members here. There's one team for Scotty as well. You can choose one, and then if those guys are winning, if you have collected the most of in-game currency in this game mode, you will have an additional XP booster. It's not a big difference. The winner will have double XP, and the other ones will have 1.5 additionally on top of the random battles. So if you can still choose, if you didn't choose any team yet, I would suggest you to choose Team Ura, because she's far ahead of everyone else, and you will then get the double XP for some random battles. You will have the access to some special little stuff here if you finish those missions. Normally it's just decals and camouflage, so if you're interested in that you can do this, but also like some large repair kits and stuff which you could also sell for some credits. So it's nice on top, and if you play the mode, the event mode anyway, I would suggest you to use this here and just choose a team to get some little stuff on top of your grind anyway. Now let's talk about the loot boxes, and something I think is pretty poorly made here on the website. If you scroll down and you see what you can get in those loot boxes, you will just have a very short overview. You can get some more crew members and some new reward vehicles, some new premium vehicles, but all the rest, how much is in the loot boxes, it's not shown here. That's pretty annoying. You just scroll down, you have a little description of a new premium tanks, and there's another 3D style for one of the new tanks in the boxes as well, but nothing more. So you have to go to the main web page and check out another little site, which is Obtain Orion loot lock boxes, not loot boxes, and you will see here actually the ingredients of those boxes and with a probability. So it's very unlikely that you will draw one of the premium tanks or any premium tanks. But of course, if you're kind of a gambler, you can choose to play with your luck here a little bit. I wouldn't suggest it at all. Of course, you have the chance for 3 other crew members. Well, I wouldn't pay any money for that, but you also could draw one of those reward tanks. We will talk shortly about those new ones, which I think are not too bad actually. The rest, just to make it short, the light tank here, I think it's outdated. It's just not worth any money. The GSOR 1010, it's okay, but in my opinion, not worth any money. With 5060p, I think it's okay as well, not worth any money. AMBT, Lansen, C, Bofors, Stonewall, they are all just okay, but not the best of the best, which I would pay money for. So you can, I think you shouldn't buy anything for those, but it's your decision, of course. The Type 5 and the Kampfpanzer 07, they must be pretty good actually. Stats wise, the Type 5 pretty good, but this tank is pretty good as well, the 07, and it's pretty much fun, I have to say, with HE shells, but not so easy to play. Type 5 maybe is easier to play, but anyway, you have to gamble for them and you have to be lucky to draw them. I wouldn't do this at all. You can have the chance to buy those tanks during the year, most likely, so consider this a warning, kind of. Also, you can draw some useless decals and, of course, some credits, components, which is kind of sad that they put components now in loot boxes, but hey, it's wargaming, no questions. Also, training manual is nice, but this is all not so important. I wouldn't pay any money for this. You can pay, or you can buy much better stuff with your money if it's on a certain sale. So useless camouflage and stuff like this. But of course, the new reward vehicles, and we're gonna take a look at those new ones, what they are looking in the overall server stats. So let's first talk about the Nemesis, and we have to scroll a little bit down here. I sorted those tanks by damage per game, all tier 8 vehicles. Let's take a look. There the Nemesis could be, and it's there, not too far beyond everyone else. It's still, yeah, in the upper quad, I would say, of all of the tanks, with a damage per game of around 1350. Not many people have played it yet, so we're gonna take a short look about the stats of this tank. So let's talk about the Nemesis shortly. With an pretty low damage per minute of around 1500. It's not gonna be like the DPM monster, but normally in random battles you don't have to be. It's also good if you have a strong punch, and with 420 alpha damage, he's gonna be punching quite good. 225 penetration is pretty good actually as well. The dispersion is not too great, and the aiming time not as well. So it's gonna be a little bit annoying aiming for that thing. The dispersion on the move, they are kind of similar to the 122 TM. So let's take a look at this thing. Yeah, almost the same dispersion factor. So if you know how to play this tank, or if you have it, you can have maybe a good image how it would be. Let's take a look at the Progetto 46, which is known for its pretty good gun handle values. It's 0.16. So you will see the Nemesis. It's gonna be a little bit more annoying to play. The gun will blurry more, and yeah, aiming will be a little bit annoying, I guess. The top speed is 40 kilometers per hour. The power to weight ratio is almost similar to the 122 TM. It's a little bit better. You can see it here, 22 TM. Terrain resistance is actually pretty good on all terrain. And if you take a look at the Progetto, here we go, it has almost the same values. 0, 38, 48, 96. Yeah, it's actually the same terrain resistance, interesting. So it's not going to lose a lot of speed in soft terrain. View range, nothing special, not going to be the spotter of the game, definitely. 1300 HP, it's okay. It's normal, I would say. But let's take a look at the gun. Definitely the big positive part of this game, of this tank, despite the dispersion rates and stuff like this. If the gun will hit something, it has good penetration and good alpha. Let's take a look at the armor. And just take a look first at the overall look at this tank. So it's pretty big actually, and it's gonna be trying to play hull down, most likely. And if we take a look at the gun depression, 10 degrees, which is actually pretty good. You cannot always use this gun depression, of course, on the most maps, but if you can, with filling, we still have a big turret. But this turret is actually, for its own tier, good armored for most tanks. Of course, if an enemy shoots heat and has, for example, oh no, this tank doesn't have heat, but it has APCR. Let's take a look at this 280 millimeters. The gun middle, the gun center, will become a weak spot. But still, RNG is in the game and you have to hit this part. But I wouldn't count on that armor, especially if you're playing against higher tiers. But if you play against your own tier and you're just peeking, or you have a good position behind a bush or something like this, and the enemy is just blind firing, that turret will have a chance to bounce stuff. It's not a weak turret, it just has weak spots. Of course, the commander hedge here, or how is it called, this will be easy to hit in close combat. Also, this part here, with if you stand right in front of your enemy and he's shooting gold with around 280 millimeters of penetration, the turret and everything else is just a big weak spot, of course. But if the enemy is shooting normal ammunition and it's on your own team or beyond, still the turret will bounce something. Also the upper plate can bounce when something. This part here is a big weak spot. I think people will get to know this. Lower plate as well. So it won't be able to count on this armor, on its armor, but you can side scrape a little bit against your own kind of enemies, even maybe some tier 9 tanks. But keep in mind, your turret will always be not so reliable, especially against gold ammunition. So I wouldn't recommend this tank. Anyway, and just, yeah, don't go for it. The AAT60, on the other hand, is another story. So you can see it already here. It's, no, go back. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place on damage per game. So with around 1,600 damage per game, it's on the 7th place of all tier 8 tanks. So let's try to explain this somehow. We go here to the AAT60, and it has a fairly good amount of damage per minute, actually, with 2,300. It has a good punch with 320 alpha damage, and it even has more penetration than the Nemesis, just lower alpha, but 230 penetration is pretty good, actually. The dispersion is not too bad. You can sync this a little bit with equipment. The dispersion factors while on the move are pretty good. If you compare this to the Progetto 46, it's actually having better dispersion values on the move. So the worst part is more like the terrain resistance, with around 2 in soft terrain, comparing this with a Progetto, which has not even 1. This thing will get stuck, I think, in soft terrain pretty easily, even with its top speed of 44. The power to weight ratio, it's not that bad actually, with around 17.5. Let's take a look at the Progetto. It has 18.5, so it will reach its top speed as it looks pretty good, but also only on hard terrain it will keep that good speed, most likely. Let's take a look at the tank. This is how it looks. Reminds me of a very well-known tier 9 tank, which is pretty OP, but this tank has no armor in the end. Even with its normal rounds, can get penetrated almost everywhere with around 150 to 200 millimeters. Besides the auto bounce angles here, this thing will have a hard time even playing hull down. Not so hard to penetrate. especially of course with turret. If you go and shoot heat with around 285 millimeters, you can penetrate with thing pretty everywhere. But, and the big but, I would say is, if you go back to how it looks, the turret is actually pretty small. And this could explain, in my opinion, why this tank is performing pretty good. You still have RNG in this game, even if you aim at the turret. Who knows where you will hit? And if it's playing from a distance, which is possible if I look at the gun values, also a strong tier 9 gun, you can play this tank, as it seems, from afar, from a distance, and then the enemy still has to hit this little turret. From the side it's no problem, it's large like a barn, but if you play it against it in front, I think it will stand its ground pretty good. And maybe that's why this tank is performing in the server stats not that bad. It even has 1400 HP, which is a good amount, I would say, for a medium tank. And yeah, still big fat gamble to get this tank. I wouldn't suggest it at all. Still, other tanks are better in the overall tank stats. Maybe we shouldn't take a look at the ISO 130. I have no idea what this tank is about. It's just 160 games. Yeah, but other tanks are still better than the AAT60, and not many people played it, so maybe it will sink. Maybe a lot of good players are playing it right now, but in the end, it's not going to be a bad tank at all, I think. If you need to know the opinion of maybe more experienced players, go check it out on YouTube. A lot of tank reviews are already out there. I don't think those tanks are bad in the end. The Nemesis is going to be like a mediocre tank, I would say, but considering the AAT60 can be a strong tank actually, I wouldn't suggest to buy it anyway. And that's it from my side. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you will enjoy the event. I hope you will make up your mind if you find it's necessary to buy any more loot boxes from Wargaming. It's, I think, the 4th loot box event this year, so we are definitely going into a certain direction here. I hope you will enjoy the event during the first half of May, so May the 4th be with you, haha. I know that's Star Wars, but who cares? I don't know anything about Star Trek, but not so much actually. Still, I'm wondering why they are having those collaborations. I think Star Trek is not a bad thing at all, but it just has nothing to do with World of Tanks, like the Turtles. But of course, they have to find new ways to attract people. They want to make it interesting with collaborations. So maybe in the future we will have a collaboration I would like to see as well, or I find interesting for every Star Trek fan who loves this. I hope you will enjoy it as much as you can. And see you guys hopefully on the next video. Thanks guys for watching, and bye.